Hello and welcome back to another episode of We Are the Podcast. Tonight's episode is a match preview for the Europa League tie against Brann tomorrow evening. That's Thursday, the 23rd of October. Kickoffs at 5:45 UK time. Myself and Charlie this evening. Stevie is predisposed, a man of many children.
Family stuff.
So we're just going to go over a brief kind of look at the game, the comings and goings since the last podcast, which was only a couple of days ago. Have a wee chat about Danny Rohl and stuff like that. Obviously, you missed the last one, Cheech.
I did, aye.
Geez, your outpour the feelings. Come on.
We'll start from the start. I did say we would beat Dundee United 2-0, and I was wrong on that. We did score 2 goals. That's about as close as I got.
I said 4. There was 4 goals at least, but
aye, that's about as close as we got, I think. But to be fair, when we'd started, I was working, so I didn't actually get to see the game, but I'd read a good few things on Twitter and X. I'll probably forever call it Twitter, but I read a good few things in X. People were saying this is much better. The passing intricacies is much better. We're not giving the ball away as much. We seem to be more attacking. The goal was a good goal. Took the goal really, really well. Cut the defender inside. Looked at the goalkeeper. Lovely strike. Defence again done with a high ball from what I'm led to believe. We haven't watched the highlights anyway. Done for a high ball, and then the second goal.
defensive.
Probably he's never going to hit a shot like that again in his life either.
I think the second goal was Cornelius with a stray pass again. Like it just seems to be
it, but he's probably never scored a goal like that in his career.
It's an ongoing thing this season, in particular, is defensive lapses and concentration. I think
the defense has been. I know we've not been great shakes up front or anything like that, right? But we have. You lose games 2 different ways. You lose games from no scoring enough goals, and you lose games from no defending well. We've probably lost more games from no defending well than
could have been worse if it wasn't for Jack Butland as well.
There's been games where we have drawn, or we've maybe been one each, but we've conceded really cheap goals. So it's cost us points on both ends of the pitch. I'm not going to say that been great shakes up front because we've been bad defensively and bad going forward as well. So but again, a tight defence will win you points, man. A tight defence will win you points because you might grind out you can't grind out the 1-0 and the 2-1 wins if your defence isn't solid.
Do you reckon it's time that Suter get a wee bit of time?
I don't think Suter should have seen this many games this season, to be honest with you. I know people were sorry, pets in the background going nuts. I don't think Suter should have seen this many games this season. I think people are maybe too sold on Giga, but bearing in mind, Giga played all his games under Russell Martin's instructions. In a high line, and probably asked to play the ball from the back more often than he's probably suitable to do. And it begs the question, if he's not suitable to play the ball at the back and that's how he wanted to play football, then why did we sign him in the first place? But you could just talk to another one of the signings. But no, game wasn't the best. I thought we might have got the 3 points right enough and we went a goal up, but we didn't capitalise on it as tradition with us, to be honest with you, at the minute of the season. But well, hopefully it can only get better for here.
So then obviously we moved to the beginning of the week post-game. Actually, on the Saturday after the game, it was the whole Kevin Muscat thing. Obviously, you missed the podcast the other night when me and Stevie had a wee chat about that. I can't remember a time where back-to-back Saturdays Rangers have absolutely lit up all the group chats at 9 o'clock at night. It's absolutely crazy.
And for the wrong reasons.
It's absolutely mental. And then Sunday was a black hole of information from the club, from anywhere. And I think that everything that get passed about in group chats or online was hearsay and rumour, because it then turned out on Monday morning that Danny Rohl was the man that was actually going to take over, because we had obviously Ange had just been sacked on the Saturday. He rocketed to the top of the bookmakers listings. As mental as that sounds, like all these kind of things played out on Sunday, and then obviously, as I say, Danny Rohl got the job, unveiled yesterday. What did you make of everything that happened yesterday? There was a lot of press conferences and a lot of questions getting asked, and
the bookie stuff is just where people are putting their money. That's why I never really, I know we look at it and stuff, but I always go, do you know what? How often has that been right from
True.
the start? Do you know what I mean? It's always fluctuated, and it was never going to be Ange Postecoglou anyway, to be honest with you. But I reckon, like I did come on a couple of pods ago, I'll for an update and say it felt to me like we were getting another Russell Martin clone, somebody that was a philosophy manager and all the rest of it. Now, I'm happy to be wrong on that. Obviously, I want to be wrong on that because I want the guy to succeed.
Yep.
I did in the meantime. I've went away and listened to two different podcasts. Sheffield Wednesday ones about him.
Sure.
One where somebody for Heart and Hand actually interviewed somebody for the Wednesday Till I Die podcast about him,
I watched
and
that
then
one as
one
well.
was an actual Sheffield Wednesday podcast. So I think Stevie shared it in the group maybe, and I listened to it
Yeah.
on Tuesday morning. It might have been. So I went away and I listened to it, and to be honest with you, he doesn't sound at all like Russell Martin. The way he speaks doesn't sound like Russell Martin either, to be honest. And I know we say this all the time. I thought Russell Martin spoke very well at first. He did speak well yesterday. Um, he talked about winning games, no caring about how it looks to win the games. The most important thing being winning the games, you want to develop a style and stuff like that over time. But the main thing is to win games, and there's no point in no winning games just so you can try and play a certain way, which
Yeah.
seems to be the complete polar opposite for what we were getting before. Um, so, I mean, he's saying the right things. I probably didn't give his pedigree enough respect either, considering he was assistant manager at Bayern, or one of the assistant managers at Bayern Munich, I think. For what I remember, I listened to the press conference earlier on the night. He said something about being a third assistant manager and then moving up to the first assistant manager or something like that when he was at Bayern, and
Yeah.
then he's went
I
to the
think
German
he's
national
worn
team.
he's worn many hats at all the different places he's
Aye,
been at. I think he's a jack of all trades when it comes. This is obviously outside of Sheffield Wednesday, his first proper head coach role. I don't think when he was at Sheffield Wednesday that there was as much of an expectation on what he had to do. Obviously, he far exceeded from everything that I've heard. Um, the Sheffield Wednesday fans are extremely sad to see him go,
aye,
and the fact that he got them from practically like he said himself, and I've heard Wednesday podcasts and stuff like that, and guest spots on Rangers ones that the fans and their absolute bin fire board had resigned themselves to the fact that they were going down, and it was only through Danny that he was like, well, that's not what's going to happen, kind of thing, and he
aye. It could be
basically
the last
dragged
game of the
that.
season, I think. Yeah.
He dragged that team to mid-table finish and basically kept them in that league. And obviously, I've heard a lot about Barry Bannon and Josh Windass, who obviously up here we know them well. And they've got Josh Windass particularly said he's the best coach he's ever worked with. And I don't think for a young coach like Danny Rohl, I don't think you get praised much higher than being called the best coach you've ever worked with, regardless of who it is that says it.
I
So
mean, you didn't caveat that it's Josh Windass, to be
I
fair.
know, but I know, but like I when it was announced before it even uttered a word, I had threw in the towel again. I was
I
like,
wrote back as well, to be fair.
I was scunnered. I didn't want anything to do with it. And then I heard the guy talk, and I was like, I believe in you. Like, I believe what you're telling me, kind of thing. Like,
Do you know what I thought about it as well, right? We always, every time we're looking for a manager, which has been more often than it should have been lately, right? There is always somebody who looks at some young European manager that's doing a really good job somewhere, and because he was given a chance somewhere, right? And then we always think to ourselves, like Farioli and stuff like that, right?
we're Rangers.
And
Like,
we always go, how come like we don't find guys like that, or
yeah,
we want to take them after the fact? This could be the opportunity again. This a guy who has potential. He's big kind of break. Is that if that makes sense? Because you're right in what you're saying. I listen to a lot of stuff about people, or a common theme through these Sheffield Wednesday podcasts is that they were a riot. They didn't have a great squad. He managed to develop, and he did start with a specific type of football that wasn't working. So he
hmm
then adjusted it to be more pragmatic. They started getting results. They stayed up in the last game of the season. They done a bit of transfer business, but they weren't really given much to spend or whatnot.
yeah,
And then they finished mid-table, which according to them was another underachievement because they are having squads that are worth, I don't know, £10 million, when they're coming up against teams like, and I know people mentioned that Russell Martin's Southampton gubbed them 4-0, right? But Russell Martin's Southampton team had just been relegated for,
They shouldn't have
it's
been
like,
in that league, basically.
they were
Aye.
£150 million worth of squad playing against a £10 million squad, right? That's like us
Parachute
beating,
payments and what
well,
have you. Aye.
that's like normally, quote unquote, us beating fucking
Alloa or whatever.
Livingston 4-0. Do you
Aye.
know what I mean? Like that is a result that you would expect to happen, especially a team that's fighting relegation at the time.
Yeah.
So, like they were at the bottom of the table at the time. So it's context to everything. I think the boy's spoken well. I think he's done a good bit of work in like his career so far. He's been in coaching for about 16 years, so he's only been a manager for maybe a year and a half of that.
Hmm.
But he's come
He's
through
learned.
a good place. He's learned from people like Hansi Flick and stuff like that. So he speaks well. There was one comment, and I picked up in the press conference as well earlier, where he was asked if they don't win a trophy, is that a negative season? Or is that a disappointing season? And he just point blank said to the guy, I refuse to think that negatively.
Yeah.
So he just was like, I'm no thinking about no winning anything, if that makes sense. No saying we're going to win something, but he's just going, I'm no wanting to think about us no winning anything.
Well, that was a big thing that I took his answer to one of the questions, and I'll paraphrase the question because I don't know what he said, what the question was off the top of my head. But basically, he was asked what he needs to do with a squad, and he simply said
Win
win.
game. Aye.
That he just simply said win,
Aye.
and I was like, that's what Russell Martin didn't get, despite being an ex-player of ours, is that although we have been where we've been when we got um, shunted to the bottom of the pyramid and all that kind of stuff, we've never really lost this kind of identity of we're Rangers, we expect the best. And Russell Martin, I don't think ever got that.
He never
Danny,
understood.
Danny's Danny's been in the door 2 minutes, and he understands. The guy showed up brown brogues and a suit, all that stuff that we slagged
Somebody
Russell
asked him
Martin
if he was
for.
going to wear a suit tomorrow, and he went, aye.
Aye,
As
aye,
if
like
like,
because that was another thing he was asked was, what does he know about Rangers? And he said he doesn't really know much about Rangers, but what he does is he learns about the club that he's working at.
the culture.
He likes to know about the
You need to
tradition of the
respect the
club.
culture and stuff like
Aye,
that.
so I think that I, I genuinely think we're in good hands. I don't know if it's just a bit of kind of Stockholm syndrome left over for Russell Martin. Anything can be better than him. We can't possibly get any worse.
I think, honestly, we need to give him a break, to be honest with
Aye,
you. I think
hundred
we've had
percent.
that much disappointment this season that, and we can segue nicely onto the comments about Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell off the back of this as well, right? But
Yep,
we are working off the fact that we feel, as fan base, we feel negative about almost every aspect of the club at the minute.
sure.
So we are then there. We don't believe in the decisions being made are made by the right people. Therefore, we are going to question every decision that's been made.
Yep,
And that's where we were coming from. Probably when we were talking about them before, we felt dead deflated about it.
yep,
But I reckon that with a fresh breath and a few days apart from it, and giving the guy a break, letting him like days talking and see what he's got to say for himself, then we need to give the boy a chance. So, and that is no happy clapping. That is us going, it's no his fault
yep.
that we are in the state we're in. But we need to try and back the manager anyway, because
100%.
if,
100%.
if he sticks to what he's saying, so the difference we've got is, and the reason I'm saying it's going to segue into what Thelwell and that we're talking about them anyway, is because Andrew Kavanagh sat and said, and I mentioned to you in the group chat as part of that press conference, that some people talk about tactics, but you don't actually ever see it. Now
Hmm.
that whether you be wanting to admit it or no, that was aimed at Russell Martin, right?
Oh yeah,
Because they
I felt a lot of his press conference
uh,
was veiled shots at previous.
and they probably want to kick the guy, but what they
Aye,
was they were asked why they made the mistake, and they were having to justify the mistake. Their
yep,
justification was basically he sat and told us stuff that just didn't turn out to be true. So, like you're saying, he talked about winning games all the time, never actually won any games really.
hmm,
So that's the difference. Is if you can say, "Oh, we need to win games," but you need to actually win games
yep,
for that to matter. So, just for them, pretty much, I don't think. But we know that they're no leaving, right? Thelwell and Stewart. We know they're not going anywhere. So Andrew Kavanagh seems to think they're doing a really good job in other aspects that we probably don't see as fans. That's maybe stuff behind the curtain that we don't see, but the
yep,
stuff that we see is far from good. Probably Thelwell's one mistake away from being completely done
Aye.
in the view of the fans. Patrick Stewart's already there. He's already had his 3 mistakes, and I don't think he was asked directly. There were some good direct questions asked to them. I will say that. I watched and listened to all of them. There was really good direct questions asked. Patrick Stewart was told, "I don't think you can change this, turn this around for you personally. What
Yep.
makes you believe that you can turn this around?" And he referenced the comments about the tifo with the Celtic game and all the rest of it, and said he got it wrong and blah blah blah. But I don't think they're thinking just we need to just start winning games. We start winning games, and people are only going to change their opinion on Patrick Stewart. In my opinion, at this point in time, he's already too far gone. It didn't help that the guy's an Aberdeen fan and he's for Aberdeen and all the rest of it, right? I don't think he gets the club either.
Yep.
And I like we mentioned before on a previous pod, he's like somebody that's got naff at the wrong bus stop because he doesn't actually really know what he's doing here. So I reckon that I don't think there's anything he can do that would change the fan opinion.
Do you think that, and this is one of my most hated phrases when it comes to talking anything about Rangers, that there isn't enough Rangers men in the boardroom?
I don't know if because probably the way the board was before, there was probably too much
Aye.
because they made decisions emotionally rather than, and we're trying to move away from that,
Yeah,
making
but
decisions emotionally. But I agree with you where you're coming from. I think where you're saying stuff like the
if he's coming out against a tifo,
having
that's
somebody who's
yeah,
a director,
to run something by, like,
aye,
how are the fans going to react to
yep,
this? That kind
aye,
of thing.
having somebody like I'm just going to use a random name out of the head is like Graham Souness
Yep.
is like some kind of director role where he doesn't have to do the day to day stuff, but for anything like this, just to gauge how would this go over by
Optics.
this fan base, and
Yep.
for him to be somebody to be able to shut it down and go, you absolutely can't say this because it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
Or I mean, even see to be honest with you, I know we pay guys that are like Greg Miller and stuff that are like the press officers and stuff like that, right? But why are they not just asking somebody, even off the record, at fan media,
Yeah.
just before they go?
Yep.
Because they are, if they, so Patrick Stewart's made the decision, right? Clearly, he was relatively new in the job and whatnot, but he's jumped in and made the decision. He's no run that past anybody to check him.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that fan media deserve all this. Like they do a good job. I'm not belittling them also at the same thing. But what I mean is like before you go ahead and do something that could potentially lead to a massive amount of criticism, why not run it past somebody who's going to
Yeah.
understand more of where the feedback's coming from? That
Boots
should
on the
probably
ground.
be where the press officer comes in. To be fair, I'm not trying to criticise the guy, but whether he has said maybe don't do that and Patrick Stewart's went and done it. But
Yeah.
before that goes out, somebody should be going, that's maybe not a good idea, by the way, to do that
Yeah.
because that backfired massively.
Yeah. I think a lot as well, that at that point, Patrick Stewart it was still, like, kinda fresh at it, like, people were willing to give him a chance, but the minute you go against the fans for something like that, that could potentially get us hammered, you're nailing your colours to the mast there. We're
I mean,
just
I
like
heard something that he was apparently going about apologising to Celtic directors at the time as well. That's
aye,
absolutely abhorrent, by the way, that
aye,
behaviour. That's pathetic behaviour. If that's true, I'm just
yep,
going by something I heard on another podcast. I don't even want to name the person just in case. But somebody said that at the time he was going about apologising to Celtic directors at the time. And that's
yeah,
absolutely embarrassing behaviour, to be honest with you,
yeah. The
over that.
it's yeah. There's definitely a breakdown between what we expect from our board and what the board are doing. One of the things that's always been a that is has always been a kinda what am I looking for here? One of the things that's always been a goal since we come back up by every board that's been in charge is to run Rangers like a business, and it's never really worked. Like, if I was in my work and I put out a tweet or something like that was going against my work, I would be hauled over the coals. Same for yourself. You can't really go against the club, which is what he done. And I think that had he ran, if the club was being run, not run by a fan, but if a fan had been
an input.
aye, then
Yeah.
he wouldn't have landed his sell, especially with the Union Bears. You don't want to be riling the Union Bears up because they guys will just throw a tifo up in 10 minutes and that'll be you. The whole fan base is against you. But I definitely think that had they not been on a shaky peg before, the two of their jackets are on a shaky peg now, and I think they're both just one big mistake away from Kavanagh just being like, "Ah, this is more trouble than it's worth."
I don't buy their comments, to be honest with Thelwell. I mean, we'll not even talk about the 25-8 in
The guy thought he was dropping bars, man.
and he'd gone,
Eminem in
oh,
his
this is
head,
going to be
man. You're
hilarious.
like,
He's
ah,
and he's absolutely David Brented it, honest to God.
oh my
But
god, man.
we'll not even talk about that. Even the stuff he's talking about, he was really challenged about obviously the Chermiti deal, and he's going, oh, blah, 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 a lot of
That was
potential. The
ludicrous, man.
only
That
person who's seen potential, this kind of potential in Chermiti is him. He's the only
and his
person that's
boy,
paid money for him
probably
twice.
his boy, and all. Like, trying to say that he's the clanger as well. That he's obviously done it, and someone else I can't remember who it was that done it previously when they were talking about Dessers. Like, if they score that many goals, they don't play for Rangers. Like, that's you don't say that. Like, even if how true it
Even
is,
if
you
you
never
believe.
say that. You never say that. Like, we should you should always want us to believe that we have the absolute best.
We should be buying boys that if that's the methodology, right, and you're thinking we're going to sell this guy for X amount, make a profit, right?
I'm not
We
making
should
that
be
money back,
buying the
man.
boys for 2, 3 million, like Eggman. I'll use that as an example, just as a recent one, but maybe even somebody who's in a league. Like I'm just going to pick a league out of blue. Right? Say somebody's in the Polish league,
Yep.
and they're not one of the top teams, and they're scoring 20 goals in 45
Morelos.
games, right?
Morelos.
And we go, do you know what? He's worth 2, 3 million pound, £4 million, £5 million even. We bring
Yep.
him in because he's got a track record of scoring goals. Does the same here, then we shift him for double that, right? We're not shifting Chermiti for £16 million,
Nah.
and we've paid about £8 million on him. See
I
to get
don't
to the
understand
point
how
that if
Kavanagh can be happy with that deal at all, man. I don't
it,
get because he would have
it's
had
his,
to have signed the
it's
check for
there.
it, man. Like, I don't get it at all, man. I really don't get it.
He's putting his trust in his technical director, I guess, or sporting director, whatever title it is, right? But
Yep.
he's putting trust in him. But at the same time, you're buying a guy that's got 11 goals in over 50. Before he signed for us, right, he'd played just under 50 games and he's got 11 goals in his career.
Hadn't he
That's
scored for
not
two
somebody who
full
is
years,
going,
man?
but because he's got the same, I don't know, the same data as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right? I'm not really caring about that, to be honest with
Nah.
you.
Go and get Dominic Calvert-Lewin then, if that's the case. Like, if he's the exact same data, you should be able to get him for. You should be able to get DCL for 8 million. You know what I mean? Like that. That's why are you spunking that money? As
It's
I said to Stevie on the pod the other day, at the point in time when they bought Chermiti, when they paid that money for Chermiti, we had and still do have positions that need
left
strengthening.
back.
Left back is a major one, and for recently centre backs, we're still
Aye.
needing. I know
I
we've got
mean,
centre backs that are posted missing now. Where is Fernandez? Where is Enciala? All that
injured.
kind of stuff. But
Fernandez
like,
injured.
and Tavernier, obviously, he's finished at the end of the season.
Aye. Yeah, I think you boys were talking about it the other night.
Aye,
It's all the defence is gone at the end of the
aye,
season, unless we sign Cornelius on a permanent, right? But loan, Suter's
McGormer.
contract's up, Tav's contract's up,
Yep,
Giga's a loan.
Aaron's is
So
alone.
Aaron's a loan. So I mean, you can only hope or imagine that January is going to be about signing defenders that are going to
Yep.
be here after the, the end of the season.
But that's what I was saying on the pod the other night is that we spunked 8 million rising to 10 on a guy who hadn't scored for 2 years for a position, as Stevie pointed out, we only play one striker. We've got two already. We don't need. We didn't need an £8 million striker. We didn't need an £8 million bench warmer. We
No.
needed a couple of extra defenders.
I don't remember the guy's name, but we were linked to the Croatian boy for a while that had scored a lot of goals.
Or that Israeli boy as well. What was his name?
Around about the same time, right?
Turkin,
So if you can
something like
get
that.
any of the two of them for £4 million, right? Four,
Yep.
£5 million, there's not as much scrutiny as there is with the Chermiti deal
Yep.
because they boys have actually scored goals in their career at a professional level, whereas
Yep.
this boy hasn't. Most of the goals, by the way, that I'm talking about, the 11 goals, I think it's either 6 or 8 of them is for Sporting B team.
Aye.
So they're no top level professional goals. I'm not saying it's
Yep.
not a decent level, but it's not a top level amount of goals he's scoring. So it's very easy to justify buying a young guy for 4 or 5 million who's no got that record rather than spending that much money on somebody who doesn't really have any goals, to be honest, and is meant to be a striker because the data tells you that he's a good player or
Yeah,
he might be a good player
it's
or he might be a good athlete or whatever. It doesn't mean he's going to be a good striker.
stats and data and all that. As we've said before, it's just to 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 base any of your workings on stats and data. You'd be buying absolute dross because of stats and data. Like,
They are in the army, right? Because you're not looking at the really core data like how many goals, how many games. You're
yeah,
just looking at how many hard runs, how much miles they're running in a game, and all that kind of stuff, right?
hmm
Maybe how many aerial duels won and all that stuff, right? I get that, but you're not looking at the really core stuff like how many. This guy's meant to be a striker.
how
How
many
many
goals has
goals
he
does he
actually
score?
scored? Aye. How
It's a,
many goals for
if it's a
open
defender,
play? How many were
aye,
penalties? All
for
that
a
kind of
defender,
stuff.
what you'd be looking at tackle succession, how many tackles are
Clean
successful.
sheets.
You'd be looking for how many aerial duels he wins. You'd be looking for how many interceptions he makes in a game because that tells you the defensive side of it because they don't really score goals. But for a
Yep.
striker or a forward, wide players, you'd be looking how many assists does this guy go? Does he chip in the goals? Strikers is just does this guy occupy defenders? Is he quite physical? And does he actually score goals? Because that's the main thing. You're not
Yep.
going to get 16 million for an £8 million signing if he doesn't score goals. You'll just know.
Speaking of 16 million, we've got 16 million pound worth of players sitting on the bench across two bodies, Danilo and Chermiti. If we get if we hit whatever it was we need to hit to get Chermiti up to 10 million, which I'm hoping is goal tallies like the old football manager way, because we'll never pay that. But we have 14 million pound worth of strikers sitting on the bench. As I said to Stevie the other day, we've got Miovski, who up until now we could have said hasn't been receiving the service. We hope obviously that
I would
change.
agree with that. He's missed one or two sitters, but
It has.
it hasn't been given the right amount of service. Like even when we were playing last season and we had balls flashed across the box and Dessers wasn't there.
Yep.
Like we don't
Because he
even
was,
do that
yeah,
right now.
aye. My big hope for Danny Rohl is that he sees that. One of the biggest things that, and I always say to you, is I hate strikers who drop back to the halfway line to pick a ball up. I hate it, especially when they're lumbering strikers like Dessers, like Miovski. I want a penalty box striker, poacher, Ali McCoist. That's what I want. And I think that's what Miovski is. Miovski isn't Morelos. None of the strikers we've had since Morelos have had Morelos' strength or Morelos' drive, the way that Morelos used to come back and pick the ball up and he would carry
Aye.
it forward. But he would then, once he passes it off, he would still be in the box, in and around the area to score. We've not had a striker like that since Morelos.
The
And
last
every one of them keeps trying to play like that, and none of them can do it.
the last striker we had that was a proper poacher was Anthony Cholak.
Yeah.
That was probably the last one who was doesn't he's not very mobile. He doesn't give you much in the sense of like you're saying, bringing others into play and all that. But he'll be where you want him to be when the ball's getting put in the box,
Yeah.
and he'll
And
score
I
goals.
think that
But
that's what Miovski should be. I don't think Miovski should stray any further than 5-10 yards for that 18-yard line at any time. He should always be in and around that box. And I think that now, with the Martin Russell shackles off, your players like Asgard and Gassama and Ant-Man, they showed it on the first half.
they were better.
Gassama not so much, but Thello, Asgard and Ant-Man were leaps and bounds better than they've been. Like Ant-Man, it was like watching the Pilsen game again with Ant-Man. And I just reckon that if we can get it right in terms of those three delivering, then Miovski will get us 15, 20 goals this season with what's left of the season. And we might not need to have to bother with Chermiti. We maybe get a refund or something. But
We're not going to get. We need to try and make a player out of him now. He's here now, so
that's
we don't
true.
want to eat a loss on it. We need to try and make a player out of him. So we need to hope that that's one of the strengths that Danny Rohl's maybe got is that he's maybe going to be able to bring
But
him
that
on as a player,
that's
and
that
then
is what the a lot of the Sheffield Wednesday podcasts guests on the recent Rangers ones that I've seen have said that that Danny Rowe has this innate ability to get the best out of players that don't particularly look like they have anything left. Gassama being one of them. When they took Gassama on, apparently he was the guy that was talking about him said that he was so raw that the fans were starting to wonder why they had brought him in
Why
the
they
first
signed him,
place.
aye.
And then within a couple of games, like Danny Rohl had taken him out of the game, taken him out of the team because he wasn't doing what Danny Rohl wanted him to do. And then he just said to him, "Go and do what you want to do." And now that Gassama is the way he is, and he became a fan favourite, they were sad to see him go.
Aye, they were reckoning he would have been worth about £8 million if they weren't in a mess financially.
So I reckon that if obviously Danny Rohl was it yesterday or today that he had his first training session.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, so he would have had his
Yesterday
first
before
training
the press
session.
conference, aye.
I'd had a look. Obviously, I don't reckon that the team's going to change too much for tomorrow.
He did say in press conference today that he's like, he did say, look, I've explained to the boys that I'm making a decision based on watching videos
Yep,
and 2 days training. He's like, so
yep.
he's picking a team, no based on how they've played for him, but based on what he's watched from other games. God love him, man, watching the rest of
Oh
our games
man,
this season, to be
I
honest with
know,
you.
mate.
But he's
Good cure for
making a
insomnia.
decision, but he's also made really decent comments. I mean, he'll understand tactics better than I will, right? Or better than you will, or whatever, because that's what his forte is, right?
Yep.
He's talking about watching the. I mean, he's really talking about Russell Martin's tactics, but he's no name checking the guy. But he's saying, look, we're not attacking the final third as much as we should be, and that
Yeah.
was a criticism that we got. Is that we got so far and then it got a bit toothless.
Right, the halfway line was a bloody nose spot. Like the players would start having a nosebleed if they crossed that halfway line. I
Aye,
had
and
to go back to Butland, and
so
the
it
goalkeeper,
sounds
the
like his.
goalkeeper and the defender should never have more touches than your midfield and your forward. Is
That's actually one point that I did remember. I was listening to that Sheffield Wednesday the guy for Sheffield Wednesday till I die getting interviewed earlier on, and he said that Danny Rohl would be rubbing his hands with the squad he's got at Rangers, considering what he to work with at Sheffield
yep.
Wednesday, because we've probably got a lot more players, and based on the opposition that we'll be facing, a lot more players that can play his preferred style of football, which is a lot is no as pragmatic, and it is quite on the front foot and looking to attack the final third and looking to score goals.
Hmm.
So he's probably, according to somebody who knows him better than we do, he thinks that he'll be buzzing with the kind of squad he's got compared to what he's been working with previously.
Yeah, that is across the board the kind of thing that I've noticed with a lot of these Sheffield Wednesday guys is they are all pretty upset that he had to leave, kind of thing. Um, Mostly because of the football that they got to watch under him and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Like
I'm
I know
not.
I
I
know he's not the glamorous appointment that we were all expecting. Like obviously everybody had hung their hat on Gerrard. Everybody had hung
or
their hat on
Muscat or
Muscat.
whatever.
When he was originally announced or when he was originally getting floated about, people were like, who? Like, and then I think hearing him talk really kind of changed my opinion of him. I mean, I'm ready. I'm fully ready to give him um, my backing. One of the things that on a recent on the podcast that me and Stevie put out the other day there, we got a comment from my friend Dorian that lives in Australia, who doesn't get to watch much of the football and stuff like that because of he's in Australia at the moment. Um, he had asked, "Do we reckon Danny Rowe gets more time than Martin Russell does?"
I think
And
he needs to.
my answer to that was that unless the results in the football
Don't
mirror
improve.
Russell Martin, sorry, then Danny Rowe should get to, at the very least to the end of the window, to the end of the season. Um,
But
I don't envision too much more going wrong. We can't possibly go any more wrong than it has done in the past 4 months or so. Um, he'll get a window in January, obviously. How much, as I said to Stevie the other day, how much he'll have because Thelwell and Stewart said at that press conference that they always run purchases and all that by the coach and they have a discussion and
aye,
all that kind of stuff. Whether or not the input from Danny Rowe gets taken on board with what he thinks he needs versus what they want to actually outlay for him, time will tell. But I reckon if he can maybe get a couple of bodies in January, once he's had a few months in the job to fully assess the squad, I know we've got another international break coming up soon. But he's got some big games in which to test the mentality of this team, um, and then obviously make some decisions from there. I don't see why Danny Rohl can't be a success. Like I'm fully on board with him.
I think as long as we start seeing something, the
Yep.
fans will give him time. That's what we never seen with Russell Martin. And Russell Martin never got time for magnitude of reasons, right? We knew that he's off the back of the last 6 months. I can't remember when he got sacked at Southampton, basically, but towards the end of his Southampton um, tenure, that's what we seen. That's what we were basing him on. And then some people tried to come back and going, well, he had the promotion season, so let's try and judge him on that. Then he came in, he started talking about, he spoke well at first. I would admit I said that as well. Spoke well at first, and then the results didn't come. And then he
Mhm.
started making excuses for everything, including the mentality and all that in the first game of the season. Never ever took the blame for the tactics. Said it specifically said it's not the tactics, it's mentality and all the rest of it. Kept talking about winning games, kept talking about playing this style of attacking football, which we never seen. That's what compounded all this and made it. Then he was also allowed to keep his job for far longer than he should have, to be honest with you.
Aye.
And that all is what's culminated in it coming to a head the way it did, right?
Yep.
The difference is if with this guy, he can start off decent, we can actually see some better football, knowing fine well that he's inheriting a bit of a mess now. And if we can see like progress on the pitch, then I reckon that the fans, I mean, most of us have written off this season anyway, to be honest, outside of the cups maybe,
Yep.
because they're straight shootouts, aren't they? Really, the cups. So I mean, in terms of the league, we're was it 8 and 11 behind or something like that now.
14.
So
14 behind
is it
Hearts.
14?
Aye.
But we're too far behind to be realistically thinking about that now. What we need to focus on is just winning games and winning games in a row, which is what he's exactly said in his press conference. Focus on winning games in a row, and building the confidence for there. So if we can see better football and we can start seeing better results, he'll get the time.
Yep. So today they announced a couple of his backroom staff as well.
Yep.
One of them was a name that I'd heard getting bandied about by the Sheffield Wednesday guys. I'm going to absolutely butcher the dude's name, but his first name's Sasha.
Oh, Sasha
Uh,
Lonza or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And another guy that he knows quite well. Obviously, there has been a lot of chat about getting somebody Scottish slash
Yes,
Rangers minded in
he
there.
did say that. I specifically.
Um, who's your number one choice for that? Who would you like to see?
I quite like Kevin Thompson.
I knew you were going to say that, mate. I knew you were going to say that.
I've always liked Kevin.
I think KT deserves it. He's been in and around the club,
I
and
and he
he's
done it.
never been brought to the dance. And I think it's
I
about
think
time.
he's done a good job in terms of a. I mean, I liked him as a player anyway, right? But as when he was Kelty Hearts manager, he done well with him, and then he left. I think he left thinking he would get another job, like
Yeah.
a bigger job. And I think for what I remember, I'm getting flirted around with the Dundee job or something at the time, and he never actually got it. And then
Hmm.
he's just never really taken another job after that. I know he does a lot of the youth coaching stuff, but I reckon that wouldn't be a bad shout, to be honest with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
getting somebody
I,
like that in.
I always like listening to him when he's on commentary. He's very insightful. Um, I, Going up against Tam Miller is no hard,
Uh,
but I enjoy listening to him more than I do like people like Bomber and stuff like that who are far too ingrained in it all. But I would like I think KT's probably the would be my pick as well.
Either that
Um,
or maybe I've heard Lee Wallace a few times. I don't know what he's doing with
I,
his
don't,
seven out, to be honest with you. I vaguely remember him being an under 18s
I was
coach or
never a big
manager at
fan of
Hearts
Lee
or something.
Wallace. I can't remember. I don't know what
I
he
think
was
he
doing to
might
be
be a
honest,
youth
man.
coach at Hearts, maybe.
Um, but I saw Lee Wallace as well. Like, and obviously Neil McCann's name never really goes away for this kind of stuff, but I don't think he'll come back. And I saw someone the other day saying that Barry Ferguson said the other day it was this morning.
Nah,
Somebody said, but Barry himself has said he wouldn't come back for anything less than a permanent manager's role. So I don't.
he's an assistant manager of the under 18s. Sorry to cut you off. I wasn't far
There you
off.
go.
Lee
There you go.
Wallace.
So I don't know when that's going to get announced. Obviously, it won't get announced
Probably before the weekend,
tomorrow.
maybe.
Yeah, it might get in before the weekend. I wouldn't even be adverse to Jermaine Defoe. Um, I'm a massive, massive fan of Jermaine Defoe, and by all accounts, he's one of these people that's taken the club to his heart. One of these foreigners. I know he's not really foreign; he's just for down the road, but like somebody that's come from outside of Glasgow and absolutely just fell in love with the whole
I've written about it.
ethos of the club and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be adverse to Jermaine Defoe coming back. But as you say, I think KT is probably the number one pick for that.
I mean, I wouldn't admit. I mean, I've got a being of it for Neil McCann for a while back when he was slandering Morelos over
Uh,
celebrating a goal. To be honest with you, I've never really forgiven him for that. To be quite
yep.
honest, because I think he went too far in, too footed, because he was on BBC Sports Radio. To be honest with you, and we had a never had a problems to speak with the BBC for a long time. So I think he went a wee bit too far, and I've never really let him let him
Aye.
get past it. To be honest with you, but like if the guy thinks that somebody like Neil McCann or whatever can add something to his coaching team and help make the team better, then look, it's his role now. It's
Aye.
his,
Yep.
no pun intended, it's his position now. It's his decision. He gave him his team that he wants. Just on a side note, I think I read somewhere that Sasha Alonso, if that's his name, is Timo Werner's father-in-law.
Oh, aye. Get Timo
Apparently,
up. Get Timo here on a wee loan. He's still on loan at Tottenham, and he's only on loan at Tottenham. He doesn't
I
actually
think
play
so.
with
I
me.
don't even know if he's playing. To be honest with you.
Aye, yes, he's still gone. Get him up here.
Oh, I
Get
don't
him
mean
up.
if he's like getting games. I mean,
Aye, we'll take him. We'll take him. We don't need any more strikers. We'll take him. Can
yeah,
play on
I'm
the
going to
left for a wee bit.
confirm. Yeah, dad of Glam. So basically, he's Timo Werner's girlfriend or partner's dad.
There you go. Well, connections. That's all that matters.
That's it.
Um, so aye, there's a little matter of third Europa League match tomorrow night, Cheech.
And I must win.
6:15 kick-off. I'm all for these earlier kick-offs, man. Means I can play the PlayStation after it and not feel
I am not,
guilty.
because it
Guys,
means
you'll be
I'm working
working,
till
you'll miss.
6 and I'm going to need to try and rush home to catch the second half. And then we can record the post match immediately after. So
That's
I
it.
can at least have some notes, because I'll not get to see the first half, I don't think. But
So, Brann, this is me doing my Googling here. Brann hail from Norway.
yeah,
They currently sit third in their league with 24 games played. Um, Norway's probably, I would say, on par with the Scottish Premier League. I would say it's
decent level, right?
probably about the same
I think
level.
all
So
the
we're probably,
Scandinavian leagues are actually probably decent.
I think we're probably looking at an opponent that's probably not in terms of monetary spend or anything like that, but probably about our level. If you can understand what I'm driving at here. Um, they're obviously above us in the Europa League because
We've won a game.
There's only a couple of teams that aren't they.
Yeah.
They currently sit 17th with one win and one loss. I can't say that I know too much about Brann. I don't know any other players or anything like that. That being said, I can't see anything else other than Danny Rohl's first victory tomorrow night.
I've seen something about their best players out for the rest of the season in the last international break, so he's going to miss it. A guy called Magnuson. I'm not going to
Mhm.
pretend to know how good he is, but he's been their best player this season. Don't really know much about them. They're a good team. I wouldn't be taking them for granted. I'm going to sound a wee bit
Saver Attila Magnuson,
Magnuson.
Nicholas
I mean,
Castro.
I'm
Oh,
going to
I
sound
know Castro.
a wee bit full of myself here, right? But see, Brann and Sturm Graz and Genk, they wouldn't even have had any chance of beating us in the last
Aye,
couple of years. To be honest with you, they wouldn't have had. We would have. That's 9 points for
100%,
our,
100%.
us in Europe. And I don't think it's unfair to say that, right? They might be good teams, but we beat loads of good teams. We beat loads of better teams in the last couple of years. But given that that's not what this season's like, it's going to be. They're going to give us a good game. They're at home, I believe, or away, aren't we? So
Aye, we're away. Aye,
it's away from home. It's going to be a tough game. They'll be fancying it, considering they are doing better in the league than we've started our league as well. I'm going to hope that we get a good bounce off having an actual manager in respect to Stevie Smith. Need disrespect, sorry, to Stevie Smith. I'm going to hope that we get a good bounce off and we manage to get a wee victory tomorrow. I would
but
take 2-1.
the pictures for the training session, the players looked happy, which is not something you can. I can't remember
When there was
seeing
not a wheelbarrow in sight.
nae wheelbarrow, and my big one is nae whack-a-mole, which drove me mental. Remember I sent that in the group chat a
Oh,
couple
that's
of
the
weeks ago.
reflexes game.
Oh,
That's the reflexes
why?
thing.
I understand the need for that, but use Fitbis and all that kind of stuff. Don't. have them playing some fucking stupid Wayne's game, man. I'm sorry for swearing, but just that drove me crazy that day. They
It'll
had
be
that.
all sports science stuff, so
That's. But the players, they looked happy to be out on a pitch together. Danny Rohl was obviously all smiles and all happy, and I think I genuinely think that the team look as though they've got that buzz back about them. And as I've said countless times to yourself and to Stevie, there's a bones of a good team in there. I think
aye.
we
There's
can't
good players
we
there.
can't have done that badly in the transfer window that every single player we brought in, or 13 of them, or however many it was, are all terrible. It can't be that way. It just can't be that way.
Tell you what as well, see if we win tomorrow and we look decent even doing it, it'll get a massive buy-in for the fans right away
Yep.
because we've not been good in the Europa League. I've been quite probably worse in the Europa League than we have been in the domestic league, if that's even possible. But we've not been great in the Europa League. So if he comes in and we can see something straight off the bat and it's a positive result, then they can get the buy-in straight away
Yep.
to a lot of people. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
already willing to give the guy a chance and get behind him and all the rest of it. But if he wins tomorrow, I'll be fully on board.
Aye. So what did you go for there? Sorry, 2-0?
2-1, I think it's going to be.
2-1.
I think it will be a tight game. I don't think we'll run away with it, but I reckon that I'm hoping anyway that we can't be any worse than we've been so far this season. So
I'm going to stick to my usual. I say my usual. My second match preview, 4-0. Here we
4-0
go.
against them.
One of the Rangers. One of the Rangers.
So,
I reckon that. Who have we got next in Europa League? Is it one of the big boys?
Roma.
I don't see
I
much
think
happening in that,
the
man.
fixtures
That's
are Kilmarnock at the weekend, then Hibs, then Celtic, then Roma, I think.
that's a hard run of games as well, man. That's
Off the top of my head, that's what I think it is.
Roma on the 6th of November and then Braga. Both are home games though.
Yeah.
Back in the day, would you have said that we'd have been able to take points off Borussia Dortmund?
See, the thing
You
is,
know what I
right,
mean?
back in the day, even going into games against Roma and Braga, we'd have came going, we've got a 50-50 chance of winning this game here.
I say points. Obviously, it was the knockouts, but you know what I mean. But
Aye,
aye,
but it's one of the ones where it just really depends on how well the players take to this boy's tactics, really, and how well his system and the way he wants to play works with the team.
aye. So I reckon 4-0. I'm going for it. I'm all in, 2-fit it. Here we go. So we'll be back tomorrow. Sorry, Cheech, I'm going to just end it there unless you've got anything
That's all
else you
right,
want
mate.
to add.
No. We've done
Anything else?
nearly 50 minutes already.
Cool.
Aye, we can get right back on after the game. I'll be about, and we can talk about how well or not well the game has gone.
Fingers crossed. But thanks again, everybody, for liking, subscribing. We're picking up pace here. This is a good number of episodes we pumped out in 10 days, man. Make sure you're sharing us about, dropping us on socials and everything. I put a post on YouTube that has all of our Twitter accounts on them if you want to go and follow that. And we'll see you tomorrow night after a Rangers victory. Goodbye.
Cheers, folks.